And we're back. So, little technical difficulties. The mic died. I went and got a haircut. So we're back to tuning this dart and bow. This is the video that will not ever end. This is the third time I've turned record on with the camera to try to build it. First shot with the Magnus. Holy sh! Wow! That's ridiculous. That's cool. This is the Dart and Sequel 33 ST2. 30, yeah, no, I got it right. First try. Darton is one of the bows that you guys have requested we get into the shop. It is one of the bows that I am actually intrigued in shooting. Darton Archery and the products they've been putting out the last couple of years have absolutely been blowing up. Jacob Sluzar won Lancaster shooting a Darton Sequel 35 this year. Tiny Galantine has been absolutely doing phenomenal shooting a Darton. So Darton Archery is back. They've been around forever. If you don't know, the saying is that 90% of the technology on bows is all Darton technology. So I'm actually excited to get my hands on a Darton and see if the hype is worth all of the hype that it's getting. Very interested in shooting this bow with some of the new technology, like the new turnbuckles here to adjust the timing. The only thing I really need to press this thing for is to put the peep in. I'm shooting a Hamskea rest, so it's going to drop away. I just tie it down to, I might actually tie it to the little yoke system. But let's get to building. This one's in Bottomlands, which I think Bottomlands is going to be the color for 2025. All of the bows that have come out in Bottomlands have sold extremely well in our shop. So let's get this thing built. Let's see how it shoots. Let's see if we can tune it right away. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start by bolting everything on this, and then we'll get to playing with the tuning. Yeah. Riser on this is beefy. I'm just squeezing this as tight as I can get it to the riser. And so when I tighten it down, it is flat up against it. I'll mount the actual rest on. We're gonna have to go way left with it still, because this is a thick riser. All right, so for my rest cord here, you can see I got it attached with these limb-driven rests. When the limbs are fully expanded all the way out like they are at rest, the actual rest itself is down. When you draw the bow back and the limbs compress into each other, it raises the rest. Now, as you fire, this rest is slowly going to move out. I mean, it's going to move way faster than that, but as the limbs expand and start to come out, you know, they start to come, because they'll be here, they'll curl in, and as they expand back out, that is what's actually pulling this rest out of the way. As the limb expands back down, it is pulling this rest cord and pulling the rest out of the way. Now, the further you get it down on the limb itself, the longer that rest is going to stay up. The shorter you have it on the cord, the faster that is going to fall out of the way. Typically, I like to run it about as far back on the limb as I can before you start to get into the ramp where your axle goes into. So I would typically run this one right about here, but I have seen a lot of people start to run their stuff off of the yoke in the back. Now that is going to leave the rest up the absolute longest, because as you can see here where it comes into relation to the axle, it's almost right above, if not slightly behind the axle. So it is going to stay up longer, and it's going to support the arrow longer. And if I can support the arrow longer, there's really two schools of thought. A, if you can support it longer, you're going to get it going on the trajectory that you want longer, so you're going to have more guidance of that arrow. But if you're somebody who does not have really good grip pressure, who does not shoot a consistent shot, you kind of want to get that arrow off the rest as soon as possible, because if you start doing any, you know, you're adding any torque in your grip as the bow, as you let the arrow go, you let the string go, the bow is now kind of like floating in space, and if you add any bit of torque to that riser, it could potentially pull that rest over. You know, we're talking millimeters, micrometers, that it could send the arrow slightly off course. So there's really two schools of thought. I like to leave it on as absolutely as long as possible. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try it. If it doesn't work that well off the yoke, we might just go back and run it off the limb. but we're gonna put it on there to start, see how it tunes. If I run into some tuning issues, the first thing I'm gonna change is I'm gonna take that pressure off of this turnbuckle and yoke and run it straight off the limb like I have forever. Gonna be running a UV, this is the SE target scope with a up pin. It actually has 2 pins on it, but I'm pretty much only going to use the up pin. Back on the slider, I've really liked this sight and whole system. Slides real nice. Windage, probably gonna have to come out a lot. Let's get an arrow in here and see how everything lines up. All right, as you can see on these Dartons, I think this is pretty cool. They actually added a machine line to the front of the riser, or in the center over the grip, so you can actually line your arrow up through that to get center shot. As you can see with this, it is a mile to the left, or to the right. It needs to come to the left, so hopefully we have enough adjustment in this rest to get it there. I am maxed out already on the core mount, so that's maybe why I'm gonna wanna run the V2 here, because this is already so far to the left. It's as far as I can go with this bracket and this system with the universal, so hopefully I have enough left adjustment here. If not, I might have to pop a screw out. And I think it has 2 separate holes I can change it in, but we'll find out, because I need to go left a lot. Well, that's as far left as I can get with this. So I'm not even gonna be able to build this bow today, because I can't go any more left, and I need to, in order to get this center shot lined up. All right, here we go, we're back. So last week we were putting this Darton Sequel ST33 Sequel 33 ST2. We're putting this bow together, and I ran into an issue with this Hamskea Epsilon universal bracket. I could probably get it to work, but it is just absolutely maxed out all the way to the left. And just for me and my OCD sake, and an excuse to buy a new rest, I decided I was not going to run this rest. I'm going to run the V2 with the core mount. Let's be honest, this is just an excuse to buy a new rest, because I've been running the same Epsilons since they come out. I have 2 of them, one on this bow, one on my Ethos from last year. So I was just looking for an excuse to buy one of the new core systems. Plus, this is really the first bow besides the Exalt that has the core mount that I can actually bolt it onto. So let's go ahead and get this thing set up. The goal was to take this turkey hunting last week. I didn't even go turkey hunting, so no harm, no foul there. But I would like to go turkey hunting this weekend, use some of those decapitator broadheads, take this bow out there, see how it does, and yeah. So let's get this rest on. That's pretty much all I was waiting for. Put a rest, put a peep in it, throw this thing through paper real quick, get it roughly timed, and then we're gonna try to tune, or at least shoot those Magnus decapitator broadheads, see how they do. I've never actually shot one. I don't know how hard they're going to be to tune, but I have the package that comes with the arrows, so we'll see how it goes. All right, let's get snug. I really like using the same rest cord if I could, because it's already pre-stretched. I've shot this for thousands and thousands of arrows. I know this rest cord is not going to stretch. I know my launcher blade is not going to come up on me. So the fact that I have to not use this one, I mean, I can use it. I'm going to use it. Screw it. This. We're just going to throw it right in the center right now, because This is the first time I've used any inline. This is the first time I've used any inline rest on any bow ever. I've always just put, like that one's got a Epsilon on it. My other Ethos has a Q80 on it, which is side mount. And then, like I said, I was going to put a side mount on this. My Exalts have side mounts on them. So this is actually the first time I'm using, I put plenty of integrated Q80s on customers' bows, but never actually put one on my own. So pretty excited to get to use it. And the new system that Hamskea has here, where I don't have to use this freaking donut anymore, and these things, I don't even have the right to hand. Just throw my stuff all over the place. Just gonna find out later. I absolutely hate these from Hamskea. These are the bane of my existence because they are just made out of like plastic, whether it's Delron or some kind of composite, but these little nuts in the back, they always seem to strip out in there. So what I've actually done is I've glued these in so they don't strip out. They've been a pain in the ass, but the new bracket now is actually where you can loosen it and do it. It's on the arm itself. Now that we got our center shot set, I'm going to tie a D-loop on here instead of tying knock sets because I don't know how this bow is going to tune. I've only tuned one Darton before, and it was a Consequence 2. It was not one of these sequels, so I don't know what it likes. I'm going to start everything out through the center of the burger hole. I'm just going to tie a D-loop on here for now, and then if I need to make any adjustments with moving the D-loop up and down, I don't have to cut the knock sets off every single time. So just for a rough tuning, this is what I typically do for most of my bows, especially bows I've never set up before, is I'll just tie a D-loop on it, shoot it for a little bit, play around with it, and then once I feel really comfortable with the way the bow is holding, the way it's shooting, then I will just loosen up one of the bottom knots on the D-loop, pull it down, tie the knock sets on the bottom of the knock, tighten the D-loop up against the knock sets, and then do the same on the top. Loosen it, pull it up, tie the knock sets in, and then push your D-loop back down and tighten it down. And then I know I am set from there. But if you tie knock sets on right away, again, if it's bows that you have set up, you have tuned before, you know what certain bows like, just tie the knock sets on right away, skip this step. But for a new bow, for a bow I've never shot before, that is what I like to do. So we're gonna go ahead and take a Sharpie. We're gonna mark the bottom of the knock, and that is going to be the starting point for my D-loop. If I had red D-loop material, I would use it, which I don't think I have. I think all I have is black, orange, and green. So black it is. Grab my Michael Braden D-loop tool. The thing I like about these is I can actually cut them to the exact length. I typically like doing it right at about 4 3/4 if I'm going to use knock sets. That's typically where I start for all of them. If you are not going to use knock sets, then something like 4 3/8 works out really well. If you want something like a 5/8 plus loop, I might adjust the D-loop length if I'm just playing with different knock or different draw lengths if I'm trying to shorten it up. All right, I've gone over this before on how to tie D-loops, but I'm going to add it into this video. And this might be its own separate video. One day I should update my D-loop video, but this is just a little bars of beeswax. As you can see, these things get used quite often. All the serving material, whether I'm tying in a peep, I'm tying in knock sets, or I'm tying on D-loops, I even use this a lot when I'm putting screws into bows because it helps just cinch it in and get it really nice and tight. It almost like lubricates it, but it's not like a lubricant, but it also holds it in tight. So I do about the last inch and a quarter on the D-loop. Tying a D-loop for a right-handed shooter, this is the way that I remember it, is I want the bottom knot facing me and I want the top knot facing away. When I'm talking about knots, I'm talking about the little burned knobs on the end. All right, so pinch the D-loop material, kind of make like a P with it. See how that kind of makes a P. Turn it, face it towards me so the P is actually facing me. Go up against the string, pull both of them through. right there on the bottom of my Sharpie mark. Give it a little cinch. You could wrap a set of needle nose pliers and grab these through and pull it, but I know I have enough D-loop material to work with because I've done this enough, and that's one of the reasons why I like making my D-loop a little longer. I do not like to burn the knots on the string. I like to cut them to the exact size before I put it on. Cross over the center so it's on the same side of the string as you. Pull it through the D-loop, go over the top, under the string, and then back up through the hole. And now that top burn knot is facing away from me. If you have a set of D-loop pliers like this, they're great to get them started. Like I said, that D-loop is a little long right now. On these tools, it actually has measurements, so you can measure how long your D-loop is by sticking it in the string. Right now, this one is 3/4 of an inch. I know that's going to be a little bit long, but once I loosen it up and I tie my knock sets in here, it's going to span it out a little bit, and it's going to drop it to that 5/8 plus mark, and be in between 5/8 and 3/4 or 11/16 as you will. So,
I got you press for it.
oh yeah, we got the V2 core lock, and then we got more for the wall. I got to take 4 choice set of these ling bolts to press it as per Darton and the instructions, because who's actually read the instruction manual? Nobody.
Yeah.
But I did, because I heard somebody else talk about it, so might as well do it right. I got this.
Call from
Okay.
11322.
This is the only time I should have to press this bow. 1 single thread around the peep. How I do it, just go underneath, 2 overhand knots, cinch it down, and then we'll tie a square knot on the bottom. This is just to keep it in once we get done. And we get it finalized. Peep height's correct, peep twist is good. Then we'll pull this peep back out and tie it in the new way that I've been tying a lot of peeps in, and I've found it to be very successful, because if I change scope housings and I want to change peeps, or I want to change peeps in general, I don't actually have to uncut and take all of the serving material off. All right, here we go. First time shooting this thing as my bow. Let's see what paper tear looks like. Ooh. Probably not going to be good. Damn. This thing is smooth. So, let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. These are the UV 1K arrows. I have these cut extremely short. They just barely fit on every bow that I've shot. Is right in front of the riser. So I'm going to move this camera and show you how close it is and why this might be an issue. But I'm going to draw it back. It's hard to see, but the actual collar looks like it's just barely. Collar is like just barely touching the end of the riser here. So I might just shorten this thing up a tiny, tiny bit on the draw length. And we're back. So little technical difficulties. The mic died. I went and got a haircut. So we're back to tuning this Darton bow. This is the video that will not ever end. This is the 3rd time I've turned record on with the camera to try to build it. I don't know how bad the video quality or the audio quality was earlier, because this mic died at some point. I just don't know where. So where we left off last, I ran it through paper, but the issue that I was having is I had these UV 1Ks cut. I mean, literally 1/8 of an inch in front of my launcher blade, because I'd been running the exact same setup for a while. With this Darton, with the core mount Hamskea Epsilon on it, it mounts just a little bit closer. The launcher blade is just a little bit closer to the vertical part of the riser. So now when I draw back, that launcher blade just barely, just ever so slightly catches it and sits right on top of it. Now, that's going to be an issue because the arrow is going to drop down as it's going, and that could cause some, bouncing across the launcher blade. So I have two options. I can either shorten the draw length a 1/2 inch, which is what I did just before we turned the camera on. So now it's 29.5 instead of 30. I could either go to 30, take a couple twists out of the cables using the turnbuckle system that Darton has for their timing adjustment. Just take a couple twists out of the cables, which would shorten the draw length just a little bit. Or I can go to 29.5 and put like 2 or 3 twists into the cables, increase the poundage of the bow. Right now it's drawing at 71.8. Shooting this UV1K at 289 feet a second, which is actually really good speed, 474 grain arrow. So let's go ahead, we're gonna do that. We're gonna go to 29.5, I'm gonna put 2 twists into the cables, and we're gonna get this thing turned up and back out to like 29.75 inch draw length, which is ideally what I like to shoot on all my elites. You have the set screw right there on this little turnbuckle system. Loosen this, and I should be able to twist this turnbuckle and effectively change the twist in my strings. No longer a need for a bow press to adjust timing, which is pretty nice, especially from the manufacturer spec. If I have to take 4 twists out of these limb bolts every time I put it in a bow vise or into a bow press, I don't know how far to go out, so let's go a little bit. So we are twisting these cables up, so we are going to turn it counterclockwise. I should probably mark this so I know where it is, top and bottom. Mark, put a little Sharpie dot on each one of these just to represent this right side of the bow. Same thing, we're gonna go 2 twists in, so I need to go this way. One, half, 2. Lock it back down. Let's put this thing on the draw board. Well, on the draw board, it's in time. Based on these hash marks, it's close enough. We put 2 twists into the cables, dropped it down to 29.5, so this should bring it out to about 29.75. Feels good. Let's run it back through paper. Just a little bit. Tail left. These are the first 2 from yesterday. And that one just a little bit tail left. So because it is tail left, what Darton would tell me to do is to move one of these over to here, because it's a left tear, so you'd move this little set on the top here that's putting pressure on the limb bolt to the right side and screw it in, and we'll try it. It is so finite that I might almost just move my rest, because it is damn near a bullet hole. It is so tight that I don't know if I want to go playing around with the limb pocket and moving that. Let's move the rest. And that's what we got. That, my friends, is a bullet hole. We started here, microphone died, I left, got a haircut, came back, adjusted the draw length a little bit. I don't know if that helped clean up the rest. And then that was the last one. Clean bullet hole with those UV1Ks. So now that we got this set, we're gonna go on the range. I'm gonna get a rough 20, and I actually want to take this turkey hunting tomorrow morning. I wanted to build this bow 2.5 weeks ago, so I could take it turkey hunting, and here we are the day before turkey. Well, turkey season's in. The day before I go turkey hunting, and I don't even have this bow ready. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna shoot these big ass Magnus decapitator broadheads this year. So I have to come up with a way to sight those in. But right now I'm gonna go get 20 roughed in on this sight, see what happens. All right, let's get you guys a speed Darton Sequel 33 ST2. It's a 474 grain UV 1K. 73 pounds, 2 twists in the bus cables to help with draw length, but also increase speed. 285, 287. These are also not the speed mods. 289, 286. So we'll call it 287 and a half, 288, 287. All right, 20 yards. So let's see how close it is. Center target. No idea. High left. Center. Sweet. This is what all the other influencers have done. Like I said, I've got a bunch of bubble wrap, plastic. I hope it stops it. How's the turkey go? Remember you used to do this thing with your hand? Make turkeys, but let's go. Let's call this the turkey's neck, head. They got beaks, right? Give them a nice beard. I got anything up? Give them some hair. Give them a mullet, a turkey mullet. Let's make this a double bearded bird. Body. Sweet. Kind of. We're aiming right here. Let's get our turkey to spin around, show up to his debut. Don't move. Stay right there for me. Let's draw this back and see if I get any riser contact. No? Okay. Turkey's coming into view. First shot with the Magnus. Holy shit. Wow, that's ridiculous. Dude, that is a hole and a half. Oh, getting that thing out is gonna suck. I will say I was impatient for this bag to turn all the way around, so I just aimed center on the bag, and it would have been right about here. I was aiming kind of this level as the bag was turned, and look at that hole, dude. I'm gonna have to unpack this bag to get it out, but I'm excited. That is going to lop a head off. I cannot wait to go turkey hunting tomorrow morning. Finally got this Darton Sequel 33 ST2 put together. It took 3 attempts to make this video, but it was worth it. This bow, if you're looking for a Darton, we don't sell them at Barefoot Archery yet. This is a bow that when we had our rep come and talk to us and got to demo some of these bows, this was a bow that I was actually very, very impressed with because I'd never shot one, so I had no prior history with Dartons. I had no idea what it was gonna feel like, and it pointed really well, shot really well, tuned really well. I didn't really have to do anything except move the rest over 3 clicks, and it was a bullet hole. I do like the timing turnbuckles that it has because you don't have to press the bow to twist up the cables to put it in time, or like I did, increase the poundage by 1.5 pounds and lengthen the draw length out just like 1/8 of an inch to get it to fit me. It also has the tuning system here with the limbs where you actually take this screw out and move it over depending on your tear, and you can adjust it top and bottom. So it does have a way to clean up paper tears without having to shim the cams left and right. It is a little bit of a beefier riser, beefier bow. I had to get one of these Hamskea Epsilon V2s. It was kind of an excuse to buy a new rest. I probably could have made it work with the universal bracket, but it was just maxed out all the way to the left. If I had to make any left adjustment to clean up broadheads, I wasn't gonna be able to do it. So I just went, bit the bullet, and put one of these integrated core mount rests on the back, which very excited. These are pretty much the only things that we're gonna carry in our shop. Because all these bows now are coming with all these inline features, and it keeps the quiver and the center mass very tight. The only thing that Darton, they should come out with is something to mount it in the front, like a pick rail or some kind of attachment where you can put a pick rail on. I feel like that's where they missed it just a little bit. But for $1249 for a flagship bow with all the features that this has, really good. The only thing I will say that I'm not impressed with it, the only knock that I have so far is it does have a little bit of vibration on the end of the shot. I do have 6 ounces out the back and like 4 out the front. So I do have a little bit of weight on this bow. The bow comes in at 4.9 pounds, so it's a little heavy to still have a little bit of shock. I'd like to see him clean that up a little bit, but overall, I've been very impressed with this thing. So I'm gonna take this out in the turkey woods tomorrow, probably hunt with it a little bit. Might take it to tack, might set up an Exalt 35 again, go to tack with, but I don't know. I like playing with new things in this dart, and if you're looking for a really good flagship bow that kind of comes in a budget range and you want all of these features, it's not a bad bow, but I'm gonna give it a long-term review, so stay tuned to the channel, subscribe. If you wanna see what this thing goes through after me shooting it all summer long and what my thoughts are, hit that subscribe button down below, like the video, and we'll see you guys on the next video. How in the hell am I gonna get this out of here without filleting my fingers? Damn, the blade's actually held up really, really well. I could probably shoot that again. I could probably shoot that tomorrow. Still sharp. Gobblers better watch out.